Hello people of YouTube, I'm the Nerd Logan and welcome back to another deck profile. Now before I start, I am very sorry I haven't uploaded anything in a long time. I've just been busy with school and life and all that other BS. So sorry if I haven't uploaded anything for a while. I have gotten more decks kind of built, so I will be trying to do deck profiles on them in the future. So this is what I've got so far right now for my Flower Cardian deck. So first off, this is not the official build, so I will highly be taking suggestions for decks and for deck ideas, card removal, card addition in the comments below. So please give me your suggestions. I'm always willing to answer. So other than that, let's start with the deck profile. So to start the deck, I run 3 Flower Cardian Pine. Pine is the main card of the deck because he's actually the only main normal summonable Flower Cardian. Now whenever he's successfully normal summoned, you draw a card and reveal it. If it is a Flower Cardian monster, you add it to your hand, otherwise you send it to the graveyard. Now if this card's also destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to your graveyard, you draw a card. Next, I use 3 Flower Cardian Cherry Blossom with Curtain. Cherry Blossom, you can reveal this card from your hand and then draw a card. If it's a Flower Cardian, special summon Cherry Blossom and add the other one to hand. But if it isn't, he stays in hand and the other card goes to the graveyard. This deck really revolves around drawing Flower Cardians, so this deck is, again, going to be monster heavy. Now Cherry Blossom as well has a second effect which allows him during the damage step to be pitched from hand to graveyard to increase the attack of a Flower Cardian monster by 1,000. He's basically Kalut the Moonshadow but for Flower Cardians. Next I run 3 Flower Cardian Zebragrass. Now Zebragrass can actually be special summoned as long as you control a Flower Cardian that's level 7 or below, since it makes sense because Zebragrass is level 8. Now, but after you special summon him, you can only special summon Flower Cardian monsters for the rest of the turn. Now Zebragrass also with Zebragrass on the field, you can reveal any number of Flower Cardians from your hand, and then draw an equal number shuffle those back into deck, and then draw the same number equal to that many shuffled back. Next, 3 Flower Cardian Willow. Willow, like Zebragrass, can be special summoned as long as there's a Flower Cardian less than him, so anything 10 or below, you can special summon Willow. Willow can target Flower Cardians in the graveyard and shuffle them back in the deck, but of course it's only 1 per turn. So yeah. As well, I run 3 Flower Cardian Willow with Calligrapher. To special summon him, you have to tribute a level 11 Flower Cardian except Willow with Calligrapher. So the only Flower Cardian you can tribute is Willow itself. And when Willow with Calligrapher is special summoned, you draw a card, reveal it. If it's a Flower Cardian monster, you special summon it, otherwise send it to the graveyard. And as well, he's one of the deck's 2 tuners, so whenever he's used for synchro as the synchro tuner, all other monsters used for that synchro summon are reduced to level 2. Their levels become 2, I mean. I forgot about Pine for a second. And I also use 3 Flower Cardian Paulina. Paulina works like the other guys. He can be special summoned as long as there's a Flower Cardian of less level to him. So since he's a level 12, you can special summon as long as you control any Flower Cardian with a level less than his, which there basically isn't. Now, when Paulina is targeted for attack, you can actually negate the attack, end the battle phase, and then draw a card. But most people would probably not want to attack this thing since that effect. Yeah. Next, I use 2 Flower Cardian Peony with Butterfly. Now, Peony with Butterfly is the other tuner of the deck, so I think I'm probably going to bump this card up to 3. But Peony with Butterfly can be special summoned as long as you tribute another Flower Cardian monster except Peony with Butterfly. Whenever it's special summoned, you draw a card, reveal it. If it's a Flower Cardian, you can look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck and arrange them in any order you want. But if it's not, send it to the graveyard. As well, since he's the other tuner, he has the same effect like Willow with Calligrapher. Whenever he's used a synchro material, him and all other materials are changed to level 2. As well, 2 Flower Cardian, Clover with Boar. Clover with Boar works just like Peony with Butterfly, can be special summoned by tributing any Flower Cardian monster except itself. And whenever he's special summoned, if you draw a card and it's a Flower Cardian, you can destroy one monster your opponent controls. Yeah. And finally for monsters, I use 2 Flower Cardian Maple with Deer. Now Maple with Deer is just like Clover with Boar, except whenever you draw a Flower Cardian, you destroy a spell or trap card. Yeah, he's basically what you can use to replace MST. Alright. Now for spells, I use 3 Flower Gathering. With this spell card, you special summon 4 Flower Cardian monsters from your deck in attack mode that have different levels and 100 attack and defense. This specifically only corresponds to 4 monsters in the deck, which are depicted on this card itself. So it's Pine, Willow, Zebragrass, and Paulina. Now, after the turn you activate this, so you can only normal summon and special summon Flower Cardian monsters. But with the extra deck, it's pretty worth it. Because of the most recent set, I also use 3 Recardiation. With this spell card, if you activate it, you can target 1 Flower Cardian monster in your graveyard, add it back to your hand, and then special summon a Flower Cardian from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. Or, if this card is sent to the graveyard by the effect of a Flower Cardian monster, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck and add any spell or trap in that stack. Then, arrange the top 5 in your order. Basically, this card can, if you activate a Flower Cardian effect, which involves you drawing a Flower Cardian, if this thing is, instead of this being added to hand, it's sent to graveyard, and when you do that, you get that secondary effect, which comes in handy. Next, I run 2 Super Koi Koi. Whenever you activate Super Koi Koi, you excavate the top 3 cards of your deck. Every Flower Cardian excavated is special summoned and reduced to level 2, but every card that isn't is banished face down, and I take 1,000 points of damage for each. As well, I can banish this card from my graveyard and target a Flower Cardian monster in my graveyard, add to my hand, and special summon another, ignoring its summoning conditions. It's Recardiation, but as a graveyard effect, and its other effect allows the deck to have at least a variation to use some XCs. As well, 2 Flower Stackings. This spell card allows me to stack 3 Flower Cardian monsters of different name from my deck in any order I choose, so I can help advance my draws and hope for my effects to work better. And I believe it has a second effect. Yeah, this one you can banish a Flower Cardian monster from your graveyard and then add it to hand. So it's somewhat like Super Koi Koi and Recardiation, but it just adds one to hand instead of adding one in special. As well, I use a 1-for-1 where I pitch a card and special summon a level 1 monster from my deck. This allows me to summon at least my Pines in case if I open a hand that has like Paulina, Zebragrass, and Willow in it, so I can special summon them as well. Reinforcement of the army. Again, this deck highly relies on getting Pine out first so you can summon. So this adds a level 4 or lower warrior type monster from my deck to hand. And surprisingly, the Flower Cardians are warrior type monsters. And finally, for spells, 1 Soul Charge. I got this out of a Dragons and Legends Unleashed, and I thought, I mean, it's the highest rarity Soul Charge there is, so use it. Basically, you special summon as many monsters as your graveyard as you want, but you take 1,000 points of damage for each, and then you can't conduct your battle phase. So this primarily more goes around bringing out one of the upcoming synchros I'm going to tell you about. But it's worth it for this deck. Finally, for traps, I use 2 Fraud Freezes. This trap card allows me to, if my opponent is to special summon monster or monsters from the hand, except during the damage step, I can bounce them back instead. But I must control a Flower Cardian Synchro monster to keep this card on the field. And finally for traps is 1 Call to Haunted. Like I was saying earlier, I'm looking for recommendations, so if you guys want me to cut this, I will gladly cut it. But basically, you target a monster in your graveyard, special summon it in attack mode to be exact, and if this card is destroyed, the monster is destroyed, or if that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. But here's another thing. If the monster is used as synchro material or any other thing, but is not destroyed, this card stays on the field dead. That's just a little tip for upcoming players. Alright. So that's it for the main deck, so let's get into the extra deck. First off, I use 3 Flower Cardian Light Shower, a level 8 that needs specifically 1 tuner and 3 non-tuners. This is why the Flower Cardian tuners have the effect to make all monsters level 2. Now, as long as Light Shower is on the field, Flower Cardian monsters cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. This really comes in handy against cards such as Dark Hole and Raigeki and other cards like that. As well, during my opponent's draw phase, whenever they conduct their normal draw, I burn them for 1,500 points of damage. But during my end phase, I have to conduct one of 2 things. Either negate this monster's effect, or I have to skip to my next draw phase. Depending on the scenario, he's more meant to stay. He's a 3,000 by 3,000 beat stick, so why would I negate his effect sometimes? Next off, I have to run 2 Flower Cardian Boardifly. Boardifly gives Flower Cardians piercing damage, which can come in handy. And as well, Boardifly can banish a Flower Cardian from the graveyard, and your opponent can activate graveyard effects until the end of their next turn. This can come in real handy against decks that are probably like Burning Abyss or Felgrand, because it stops their graveyard entirely. And as well, 2 Flower Cardian Light Flare. Light Flare is the biggest monster of the deck because he needs exactly 5 materials to make him. I run him at 2 because with the help of Soul Charge, I could possibly make him twice in one duel. Now, if your opponent activates a spell or trap effect, once per turn, you can negate that and destroy that card. As well, you can, if a Flower Cardian attacks, your opponent can activate monster effects until the end of the damage step. And finally, if this Synchro Summoned card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon any Flower Cardian monster from your extra deck. So that could bring out another Light Shower to protect yourself, Boardifly for graveyard stopping, or the upcoming level 6, which I can't remember what she does. But when we get her, I want to see what she can do. And as well, Light Flare is a 5,000 by 0 monster, so if this thing can attack you, it's gonna hurt. Next, I run 2 Goyo Guardian. Goyo Guardian's a classic level 6 because this deck can make it. And if Goyo Guardian destroys a monster, you can special summon it to your side of the field in defense mode. So he's a basic staple for level 6s. As well, one Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend. He can be treated as, he is still treatable as Red Dragon Archfiend, and once per turn, you can destroy all special summon effect monsters with levels lower than his, and then you can inflict 500 points to your opponent for each card. And if you have Light Shower on the field, that's pretty helpful, so you can just destroy your opponent's monsters over your own. One Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. This guy can destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls, but he can be the only one to attack during the battle phase. He's somewhat okay, but again, I'm asking for suggestions here. One Colossal Fighter. Colossal Fighter is a good level 8 staple, which gains 100 attack for every warrior in the graveyard. So with this deck, he can gain a lot. And to synchro summon him, I would need 4 material, so right off the bat, he already gains 400 with this deck. As well, if he's destroyed, you can special summon one warrior type monster from either player's graveyard. So if you lose your Light Shower, even probably your Light Flare, you can bring it back with just Colossal Fighter. And finally, for synchros, I use one Armory Art. This is more of a situational guy, because if I have 2 Flower Cardians out in the field and that's all I can bring out, I can sync for this guy and equip it to another Flower Cardian I control and give it an extra 1,000 attack. As well, if the monster, if you destroy an opponent's monster and send it to the graveyard, you inflict damage equal to that monster's attack. So say you destroy a Blue Eyes with this, you take the regular damage, and then take an extra 3,000 from this guy's effect. And he can be equipped and de-equipped at will. And finally, I use 2 number 45 Crumple Logos, the Prophet of Demotion. He's a good rank 2 to use, because with Super Koi Koi, I can actually use that to special summon him. As long as he's on the field, you can detach a material and target one card monster your opponent controls, and then that monster's effects are negated, and your opponent can activate cards with the same name as that monster. So like say you're facing Deskbots, detach this, target a Deskbot 2, no 2s can activate their effects. 3, no 3s. Or say Mermails, target the Prince, no Prince effect, and so on. So he's a small rank 2 staple in this deck. And that pretty much concludes my deck profile for Flower Cardians. So please leave some suggestions for this deck in the comments below. I will be glad to hear them, and I'll give some counter arguments if I don't like it. But other than that, actually, I also want to give a shout out to my friend Jesse Burns 21. Go please check out his channel in the link in the description. He's a nice guy. I met him on a Facebook page. Sadly, I have not met the guy personally, but I feel like he would be a nice guy. Other than that, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. See ya!